one for the one and only DNVR. Two goes out to Zach, Mace, RK, and the bar. Three for Mr. B in that old trophy case. Number four, we're still waiting for, well, bring on the chase. Out on the field at Mile High, Broncos win is our desire. Coupled with a break, brew and a friend, bleed orange and blue to the bitter end. Come and join us, DNVR. We are DNVR.
We are DNVR. We are live here from Studio A at the DNVR Bar, and like it has many times before, the A stands for Aaron.
Yeah, yes, it does. And look at us, the three of us here to talk about Aaron.
Great to be with you guys. Also, great to be presented to you by MSU Denver Online, msudenver.edu/online, where you can scope out all they have to offer, and they have lots to offer. 75 online and hybrid programs, 450 total classes. There's something for everyone over there. And if you are looking to maintain a full-time job while furthering your education, there's no better place to go than msudenver.edu/online.
My boys, what is up? Who is this Aaron guy that we're going to be talking about? He seems to always be in the news.
A teammate of Balake, at least last year.
Ah, yes. This Aaron Rodgers stuff, I just think it's funny now. Like, I know a lot of people are bothered by it.
Yeah.
We get a lot of comments. Stop talking about Aaron Rodgers. No, first of all, no. Second of all, you got to just lean. You have to just you have to lean into it.
Well, that's what he's doing.
Yes.
That's for sure.
But like the fact that it comes out the other day that he just come out of a 12-day cleanse, and he was just feeling immense gratitude. Like, that's objectively hilarious.
It's totally teasing us.
Yes.
100%. And the fact that he went on Pat McAfee, which, by the way, was teased an extraordinary amount. I believe even Pat said a big announcement was coming. Big news was going to come from that. And then on that show, he tells Pat, oh, no, I didn't mean to psych anyone out with my Twitter post or with my Instagram last night. I wasn't trying to lead anyone astray. Oh, my goodness, give me a break.
How about the hooking up the homie, though? How dope would it be if John Elway was like, I'm going on the DNVR Broncos podcast tomorrow. You might want to tune in.
Yeah, exactly. It's so cool that he hooked him up. And what? He had they had 140,000 online viewers at one point during his show. Incredible.
How many of them turned it off right after no news today?
Yeah, they were still hovering above
that's amazing.
100,000.
Because I heard no news today. I just clicked, tweeted the quote, went to the press conference.
Out of curiosity, have you guys read about this cleanse?
Oh,
yes.
Yes.
Have you talked about this cleanse?
A little bit, but not off air.
Not the details of it.
Yeah,
I learned what ghee was for the first time, though.
Yeah.
I didn't know what that was.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
I cook with ghee, but
so
the multiple enemas.
We're going to talk about this right now because it's too good to just skip by. We got to hit the bullet points here. Okay. Starts with the administration of emetic drugs that induce a severe spell of vomiting to clean the upper gut. Totally normal stuff.
Yeah.
Forced diarrhea that purges and cleanses the bowel.
Okay.
Also very normal, just the natural kind of process.
Sometimes you got to clean the pipes.
You can't think about that without wondering, is it at the same time? Do we have a bucket?
You have to wonder that about a lot of this stuff.
Yes.
Medicated enema used to cleanse the accumulated toxins through the colon.
Okay.
Nasal administration of medicated oil to cleanse the accumulated toxin.
Okay. Everything's slipping and sliding.
Sounds like you could have just taken some Zupu.
There's something called Raktomokshana, which is a procedure done to cleanse the blood.
Ooh.
Seems dangerous.
It does, yes.
3 days of consuming ghee until you evacuate at both ends. How many times do we need to evacuate at both ends?
It's a very good point. I don't know. And for those of you that don't know that ghee was, maybe I'm the only one that didn't know, it's pretty much butter.
Yes, 100%.
I really hope there were a lot of toilets at this cleansing facility. I mean,
1 day of therapeutic vomiting.
Vomiting is very therapeutic, as everyone says.
Which, I was thinking about this, like, when you have the spins, vomiting can be therapeutic.
That's very true. Do you think you get the spins from butter?
You probably get the spins from having nothing inside of you.
That's true. Yep.
One day laxative therapy. Again, we got more stuff coming out. 3 days of herb drops in nose. That seems pretty mild.
Yeah,
compared to
that
everything.
seems very. I would do that one.
Is that on one of the same days as all the other stuff is going on, or is this a separate day?
I don't know. I really don't know. Many days of enemas. That's my favorite. I thought we already talked about this. And then finally, yoga and meditation throughout.
Yes, of course. I'll do the last one and the herb drops.
How can you really meditate though if you've got to run to the bathroom over all that?
Maybe there are no bathrooms involved. Maybe it's just
let it
everything
fly.
happens where and when it happens. That would kind of fit with this, wouldn't
Maybe
it?
that's why you put the herb drops in your nose so you don't have to smell it.
So they're not using the toilet paper. They're using the 3 seashells if they're trying to go all natural here. I mean,
I guess.
I can't believe a human would do this to themselves.
Yeah, voluntarily.
Yes.
How about maybe that's his punishment for not winning the Super Bowl? Maybe he tells himself every year, I have to do this cleanse if I don't win the Super Bowl.
Speaking of not doing the Super Bowl, I guess it's my turn after Aaron because I lost in the DNVR Madden Super Bowl yesterday.
You did, but you got there. You got further than Aaron.
Shout out to Timmy, the commissioner, the
Yep.
OG commissioner of the DNVR Madden League, for winning his first Super Bowl, at least since the league went to 32 teams.
Yep.
He deserves it.
You doing okay?
You know what? I'm like 100% at peace.
Wow. Did you do a cleanse after?
No, what happened is I just got straight up outplayed. Like, he was just better than me in the game, and it's not like Madden glitched out on me or like
Not
I
like the
threw
last time.
I like threw a pass to an open guy that was like intercepted. You know, like I just lost,
Yep.
and you know, I was happy for Timmy, so
Wow.
I got over it pretty easily. I legitimately didn't lose a wink of sleep, which did not happen to me the last time I lost in the Super Bowl.
You honestly sound like you're Aaron Rodgers right now. You sound like you're coming with a grateful approach right now. Do you have any news to break, or maybe even you want to tease? Are you trading a big quarterback after this year?
No, I think we're going team run it back.
You don't do that often.
I'm gonna evacuate my bowels and run it right back.
Wow. And which method are you using to evacuate those bowels? There's many.
I think I'm gonna do the one where you put butter up your butt.
Wait, is that how he does it?
Or
is it through the body?
I think that's just part of like the lubricating
Oh,
process.
for the enemas.
no, I thought you're eating the ghee, right? I mean,
You
Is
know,
it just-
a lot of times people have complained on this podcast that we make them hungry right around lunchtime. Not happening
You're
today.
welcome. You're welcome. Unless you're a big fan of butter.
You guys go ahead and push off lunch another hour.
someone said you just go Casa Bonita, activate the same cleanse.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm down for the Casa Bonita.
Maybe,
Club.
but maybe that's not.
12-day Casa Bonense.
But maybe that's not the same anymore now that it's actually getting a real chef in there.
That's true.
Yeah.
Maybe it won't be Cleanza Bonita after all.
There's always Taco Bell.
That's true.
That's just good food.
It is. It's so good. I could go for a crunch wrap right now. Now we can eat. Now
Yeah.
we can eat again.
Now that we're back. So shout out to the Panchakarma cleanse. Aaron Rodgers, man, one weird dude.
Would you do it to guarantee Aaron Rodgers comes here?
Absolutely.
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 12 days. Mace, would you?
No.
How much weight do you think you lose? on
Oh
this
gosh, it's got to be a ton.
thing? like dozens of
Yes,
pounds.
it has to be. That's something like a wrestler I would think would do right before a fight if they really needed to drop pounds.
I want to know in the chat, would you do the Panchakarma cleanse to guarantee Aaron Rodgers?
Honestly, it's the vomiting that loses me. I get the enemas. I get the
you get the enemas.
I mean,
You understand?
I sometimes you've got to clean out the pipes. I understand that completely.
Nice.
I mean, can I go into TMI territory?
No.
Okay, fine.
we are way actually we've gone
I thought
way
we
past
were there.
TMI territory already.
I'm just saying that Aaron Rodgers talking about this made me think it's time for a little clean out myself.
Wow. Okay, we're when it gets to that point, and you
That's
guys are
it.
doing
That's all
this
I'm gonna
cleanse,
say.
We're doing remote pods. Yeah.
I don't know. I think it would be funny just to see me like, gotta go.
I don't know. According to the cleanse, you may have to just sit there.
Yeah, that's gonna be a problem.
Yes,
Maybe we
it
can
would
get
be.
some like plastic wrap for the couches.
Oh man! Wow, and that'll wrap it up for us today on the DNVR Broncos podcast.
All
I
right.
think also in part of it, the non-cleanse part of this thing is you said meditation. You're not supposed to watch television or be on any devices or anything like that. It's a mental cleanse as well as a physical
Does
cleanse.
the monitor count as watching television?
Yeah, probably. I'm afraid. Are you reading it?
We could go no monitor.
But
Are you allowed to talk sports with your friends?
it's a good question. Does that go hand in hand with meditation?
Yeah, maybe it's like anti-meditation.
I couldn't
Yeah.
tweet, so that would kind of ruin my job.
This is like how observant Jews discuss, what technology they can use on the Sabbath, right?
Zach, you could just schedule out your what we learned with the Broncos today, and just say like, what we learned with the Broncos today. Not sure. Doing the cleanse.
Oh man, a lot of time on the toilet.
Scheduled tweet.
You set it in advance, and then everything else you rely on other like machines to do it for you, right?
I'm half tempted to say that if they get Aaron Rodgers, I'll do the cleanse and celebration.
I thought you would say that. Like I thought because I briefly considered saying just for fun that if they got it, I would do it. But I'm reading the details. I'm like, no, you lost me. They lose me at the vomiting.
See, they
That's
lose
the
me at
thing.
the blood cleansing. I don't want to die.
Yeah, it does sound like something, especially when you're mixing diarrhea and vomiting. And
If it
blood
were so bad, wouldn't it have been abandoned because it killed people?
That's true.
Because
That's true. Do I get like
there's a history with this. It's
like
been
a
around
guide?
for a while.
Like, will Shailene come and just make sure everything's going right?
yeah, that would have to be included.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like I don't really think it's safe for me to just do this on my own.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Or why don't you just go on like a 12-day beer cleanse where all you do is drink beer?
I've been doing that for the
Okay,
last
there we
12
go.
days.
There-
It doesn't
and
do
it hasn't
anything
worked.
for me.
It hasn't
No.
worked. Hasn't brought Aaron here.
It requires proper guidance from a highly trained and skillful Ayurvedic practitioner. There are Ayurvedic practitioners here in Denver.
Do they
Don't know
do?
what
Do
that
I
means.
just like they just stay by my side?
I'm
I
not sure
don't
they
know.
want to be by your side during this.
What? The last thing I have here. The only thing it mentions eating is ghee. Is this the only thing you get to eat?
It's a good question. I think I saw something where you douse the ghee in vegetables.
You douse the vegetables in ghee.
I don't know. Maybe you may be dousing the ghee in vegetables because of how much butter you're eating.
Leave it to me to come back on the show and derail us for the first 16 minutes of the show.
Yeah. Pangsha karma is detoxifying. Once a toxin is identified, we give food that activates the particular dosha in the body before eliminating it.
Wait, is
For
someone
example,
like evaluating the...
yeah, that's
diarrhea
Your
and
Ayurvedic
vomit.
experts around.
Trying to not say those
yeah.
words anymore.
Oh,
For
wow.
example, before Varichana induced purgation, we serve foods that are sour in nature, like tamarind and pineapple. I
both of
love
those
pineapple.
things. You could actually do pineapple and tamarind together.
What about covered in butter?
Not ideal, but someone said, "Will it cleanse his bloated ego?" It kind of did, right? Because then he just hopped on IG and just thanked everyone.
Yes.
And on top of that, on Tuesday on Pat McAfee, he apologized to everyone who I think he said was
Caught in
dragged
the
through this.
crossfire.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it did a little bit, and then he goes off the radar Wednesday, and then today he pops back up again. So that lasted 24 hours.
What did he pop back up again today?
Just that he's going to make his decision soon. A report from Diana Rossini said that he is going to make his decision soon. Then she went on to explain it and said in the next week or so. So, I mean, we're pretty much still on the same timeline.
Yeah.
When what Aaron's maintained throughout this whole process is he wants a decision by the time the franchise tag has to be placed for Devontae Adams specifically. That deadline is March 8th, that they can start placing the franchise tag as of this past Tuesday. So we're less than 2 weeks away from a decision, and Diana Rossini says it's going to happen within the next week or so.
Well, we're about to go to the number one news-breaking place in the NFL world, the NFL Combine.
Yeah,
Maybe something's going to come out then.
Would not be shocked about that. And what I found very interesting from Diana Rossini's report this morning on Twitter, she said Aaron Rodgers will be informing the Packers of his decision soon, per league sources. Then she goes on. I'm told there are multiple teams with offers on the table, but of course, nothing can happen until the Green Bay Packers allow a trade. Now, that second part wasn't sourced, but she didn't have to go and say how there's multiple offers for a trade. She could have said how the Packers are waiting with open arms for him to come back. She could have followed that in any direction, either retirement, either with him coming back, or a trade, and she decided to go the trade route. I found that fascinating.
I think what's news is change. If he stays, it's status quo. I think that's why she let it there. I don't. Again, I think we're reading too much into a report here.
Well, the first part was from a source about Aaron Rodgers making his decision soon. The Packers wouldn't be leaking that, would they? They don't exactly know when Aaron Rodgers is going to make his decision.
Rodgers said on Tuesday he was going to make a decision soon.
Yeah, but
so I don't know if that's really breaking news there.
But
she said the next week. It could end up being the next 2 weeks.
But I will say this: if you just reached out to a source within the Packers and said, "Hey, what's the deal?" and it's not necessarily a leak if they respond and say, "Well, we're told something's coming in the next week."
Why would then wouldn't you think if she talked to the Packers, they wouldn't have followed it with
No, I think they would.
Trade?
I think they would to test to see what the market is.
So you think that the Packers are open to a trade? Because Brian Gutekunst had his press conference on Wednesday, and he kind of backtracked on what was publicly thought was an agreed-upon deal this offseason where they would trade Aaron Rodgers if he wanted to, and he backtracked a little bit.
What did he say?
He said, we are not looking into that. We don't want to even entertain that right now.
Interesting. I'll just say it's your job as a general manager to see what moves you can make for your team. And I don't think it's the worst thing to say, yeah, there's multiple offers on the table. We'll see what happens. That leaks out there. Well, now everyone who has an interest in Aaron Rodgers is going to send over an offer.
Man, to me, though, with this getting out there, I think that opens the door for Aaron Rodgers. If he hadn't been thinking about it before, now he thinks, Green Bay is open to trading me? Oh, maybe I will think about, instead of just retirement or Packers, maybe I'll think about going back there or going somewhere else. I think that would be a risky game to play for Green Bay because, honestly, guys, I didn't hang up on the Aaron Rodgers-Pat McAfee conversation when he said no news is coming. I listened to the whole thing, and boy, it was giving me big-time vibes of retirement or just going back to the Packers. It didn't feel like there was a decision on if he wanted to play for another team. It really just felt like retirement or Packers.
Do you
Were
think
you
he's
watching
decided
the live
already?
numbers just drop off?
I think it was still over 100,000.
Oh, wow. What'd you say, Mace?
Do you think he's decided already?
No. I think that's why he did the cleanse for clarity.
I'll say
and clarified butter.
Because Andrew Brandt, who has worked for the Packers and was actually the one who, to his credit, said he thought Rodgers would come back and play last year for the Packers and then would go somewhere else. He tweeted this out yesterday morning, quote, "I do believe Aaron Rodgers knows what he wants to do and has known for a while. We don't know, but he does." And then someone asked him, "Do you think Mark Murphy, Brian Gutekunst know what he wants to do?" And he responded, "I think they have a good idea, but they're waiting for confirmation. They're not clueless here."
They're not clueless?
Yeah.
Oh. And if that's the case, if Aaron Rodgers has known for a while, I think he's just really trying to convince himself that retirement is the right thing. I think that would be the route that he's going down, and he's just trying to see if he can fully step away from the game before making that call.
What do you think the impact of Shailene Woodley is? Because there are people who say and think that she's actually back with him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, did you see the quote in that story where he wasn't acknowledging them breaking up at all?
He said he loved her.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if there's an element of truth to the notion that she thought he was too focused on football, would he kind of possibly assess and say, okay, maybe it's time to move on to the next phase of life with someone who actually wants to be in my crazy little existence?
Do you think he thinks that he has a crazy existence?
I think maybe when he's being self-aware, we all have I'm saying it more like we all have our crazy little existences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His might be a little crazier.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a compromise in there where he comes and plays in Colorado.
And see, that would be the hope for it. Now, he talked about how he didn't say her specifically, but moved out to Green Bay to make a sacrifice for him. But it really feels like, with the reports, what was it, last week, that they broke up because she felt that he put football over her. It feels like, okay, well, if they're back together and he wants to make it work, the way to put her over football is by just ending it.
Yeah.
Ending his football career.
Interesting. Very interesting. I think that if he's going back to Green Bay and he knows that none of this would ever happen. But, well, I guess I shouldn't say it ever because he's
Mr.
just
Drama,
an egomaniac. Yeah.
I mean, Brett Favre used to do this year after year for a while.
Yeah.
Draw
What
it
is
out
it
for
with
as long
Green
as
Bay
possible.
quarterbacks?
Maybe it's
Maybe it's the fact that Green Bay sucks.
Yeah, it probably is that.
it's different.
It's different. That's a way to put it.
I'll
Mace.
say this: like there are spots in Wisconsin that are really cool to live. Milwaukee's a good town. Madison's a really cool town. Madison's basically Boulder with lakes rather than mountains. So
I like Wisconsin in my experiences.
But
there.
Green Bay, northeast Wisconsin in the winter, that's a little bit of a different animal. I get, and even in the late fall, there's not a lot going on there. I could live in Madison. I could live in Milwaukee. I don't think I could do Green Bay.
I mean,
it's tough. It's not for everybody.
I would venture to guess that we have people that listen to this show in Bangladesh and South Africa and all these. I would venture to guess we don't have a listener in Green Bay.
Can the Bangladeshis tell us about the Panchakarma? Maybe.
Yeah. Hit us up in
we'd
the
love to hear.
comment section.
I might be doing it.
You may be. So where are you guys at? Is how would you rank those? Coming to the Broncos, going somewhere else, retiring, and going back to Green Bay?
I don't want to be on the fence here, but I think it's pretty close.
With all four?
I guess I would put going to the Broncos or just leaving the Packers in one category. So 3 categories: leave the Packers, stay with the Packers, retire. And I think it's like it's close to 33% each.
Wow.
But I will say the number one most likely thing is that he stays with the Packers.
Okay.
And that comes on the heels of me saying in most cases I don't think he would do all this if he was going to stay with the Packers. But I think that he actually doesn't know. And I think in the end, most humans just stay with what they're comfortable with.
Yep.
And so if it comes down to change or no change, a lot of people end up deciding no change in the end.
Yep, I think that's a very good point. Mace, where are you at?
Kind of the same thing. It's very close. I'm going to say 35% retire, 33% play somewhere else, 32% back with the Packers.
Ooh, that is so. You've got Ryan's last for you.
But we're talking about 3 percentage points difference.
Exactly.
I'm
I'm going to go a little more conviction here. I think it's like 70%. That he's back with the Packers. No, 60% that he's back with the Packers. 30% he retires, and 10% that he's with the Denver Broncos specifically. And one thing, a big reason why I think he goes back to the Packers and why he is doing this, even though going back to the Packers, is because we've seen his price tag jump $10 million per year in the past week or two. It was reported a couple weeks ago that he was looking at, maybe a $40 million extension. Earlier this week, it was 2 years, $90 million. Today, I saw $50 million a year. So that is why I think Aaron Rodgers is playing the game right now. Wouldn't be surprised to see him 2 years, $100 million, 3 years, $150 million. And of course, there's going to be a lot of finagling in order to get that to happen. But I think this is why Aaron's doing it, and I just shake my head because the Broncos are just being played in order to get him paid.
There's another thing also. We saw last year, Brian Gutekunst admitted that Randall Cobb came back because Aaron Rodgers wanted him in the mix, right? Mm-hmm. How do you think George Payton feels about potentially turning some personnel decisions or at least moves over to Aaron Rodgers to some degree?
Shouldn't give a damn.
Absolutely, he should do it, right?
Yeah. You're guaranteed 13 wins.
But do you think he's willing to do that?
Yeah, I don't think he's like
a
ego guy.
He doesn't seem like it, yeah. Especially being a first-time GM.
And Aaron Rodgers is like a better GM than like LeBron.
Right.
LeBron likes to make all decisions too. All his decisions are bad ones, though.
I mean, that's why I think there might be a price tag, not just in terms of what you're willing to pay, but also draft capital, because then you're like, okay, we're paying him this much, we're giving up this much, and we're having to and I'm having to kind of consult with him. I could see it. I could see there coming a point where the Broncos say, yeah, we don't want this.
If that is the case, Mace, then that really scares me. And the reason for that is, what happens when your quarterback is a little upset when he's, 7 years in and it's Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray? Unfortunately, you have to give in to those guys. And it's a bummer to say that because you shouldn't have to as a general manager, but you have to, or else they're going to leave and they're going to walk out that door, and you're going to be losing Tom Brady. Now, not necessarily to that extent, but if you have your franchise quarterback, that's your Tom Brady. And if you aren't going to just give him everything he wants, then especially nowadays, they're just going to leave, and that's the worst thing that could happen.
And you mentioned LeBron, like this sort of thing where stars can kind of dictate, have a little bit more sway. It was inevitable it was going to come to the NFL.
The future,
because you see it in the NBA, and you see the kind of influence that a LeBron has, that even a Giannis has in Milwaukee, and that's something that Aaron Rodgers will be familiar with, and said, "Oh, why can't I have that?"
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I agree. You're the most valuable entity that exists at the franchise.
I mean, Giannis got his brother on the roster, right? And Aaron Rodgers is a part owner of the Milwaukee Bucks. He knows how this works.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if like Giannis got his brother on, just like, you better get my brother or else.
But they've kept him.
For me, it's like you just do that to make him happy. You know, the happier your superstar is, the better your team will be.
So you don't.
Yes.
So you'd be all for a team if they wanted LeBron, saying if it took drafting Bronny.
Of course.
Number 5 overall. Even if his value is probably mid to late first round, you'd do it.
Absolutely. And did you see what the Packers just did?
Hold on that one, not to get into a whole debate, but LeBron did say that's going to be my last year. I'm playing 1 year with Bronny, and then I'm out.
Man.
That's probably not worth it to reach on your first round pick if you have number 5 overall, depending on what the class looks like.
Yeah. I mean, 20, I get like pick 20 if you do that. That's fine.
Unless you're just banking on like he has so much fun playing with him that he keeps playing.
2 things really quick. Ian B in the comment section just said Jordan Rodgers to the Broncos. That would actually do the opposite. That would keep Aaron Rodgers away from Denver.
That would.
You bring in Jake Kumaro if you want to. Bringing somebody that Aaron Rodgers regards like a brother today.
Right. And one of the things the Packers just did, they just brought in Aaron Rodgers' guy as quarterback coach, a guy that he had been with for nearly a decade. Aaron Rodgers spoke very, very highly of him. And then 2 days later, he was brought in to be their quarterback coach. So they are trying to do that for him. And
brought out of retirement, no less. Tom Clements had been working with Kyler Murray in Cliff Kingsbury in Arizona, retired at the age of 67 when he called it quits, and was brought out of retirement. And so it's hard not to think in terms of what on earth did the Packers pay? They probably paid him an awful lot just to try to get Aaron Rodgers
Unless
back.
Aaron's just hooking one of his friends up, which would be incredible. And Ryan, really quick,
okay.
I got to ask you this because I asked Mace yesterday, and to tie a bow on the quarterback news that's come out in the past week, Justin Outten on Tuesday, the Broncos' new offensive coordinator, said this about Drew Lock. He said, he's got a powerful arm. He's really done a good job as far as using his legs and being an athlete. As far as that, I want to see how he fits in the system a little bit more once he gets the playbook under him, and then we'll go from there. Are you buying or selling that Justin Outten is going to give Drew Lock a legitimate chance to compete for the job?
Oh, it just depends on who else is in the room.
But with what he said there, what you know now and what the room is right now.
Yeah, of course. I think he would have a chance. He's cheap. He's young. What else do you need?
Mason and I both sold that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it's like, what are they? You think they're going to cut him?
No.
No, I just think he's very much going to be a backup.
Like they're bringing in some.
Like I said, depends on who.
But I mean, like what I'm saying is, like even like somebody like a Mitchell Trubisky.
Okay, then yes, Drew Lock has a chance.
But I think they would bring him in and say, yeah, Trubisky's gonna be the starter, and Lock will back him up.
I think you're right, Mace. I think Marcus Mariota, Mitchell Trubisky. I think that he would be brought in with that in mind. Now maybe Drew Lock can beat him out, but to me, this isn't a big vote of confidence.
That's how
and that's okay because Drew. It's not like he did so much last year that he's being disrespected.
And that's how and that's how it was with Tannehill and Mariota. They brought in Tannehill, but Tannehill was the backup, right? So I mean, clearly you can make a move and say, well, quarterback X is still our starter, and then quarterback Y is waiting in the wings. And I think in this case, Locke would be QB Y.
I think that it just depends on who it is, and if I actually think that Drew would have a chance against that quarterback. If it's Mitchell Trubisky or Marcus Mariota, yeah, he has a chance, and they're going to give him one.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting if it's one of those guys. Let's hope not.
Real quick, you talked about the Vlatko principle, keeping Vlatko around to make Nikola Jokic happy. I would literally sign Nikola Jokic's horse, dream catcher, to a deal if that's what it took to make him happy.
You're 100% right. You absolutely do that.
All right, make sure you come down. Speaking of the Nuggets, they'll be back in action somewhat soon. And you can come down and watch them here at the DNVR Bar. You can watch the Avs smoke the Red Wings last night.
Yeah, baby.
I do love smoked wings.
Especially from Detroit.
Yeah, I don't know. Especially those wings getting smoked, yes, for sure. But it's no better place to come on down and hang out, watch Colorado sports than here at the DNVR Bar. We also have great food. We're working on convincing Bones Highland of that. As he tweeted out yesterday, there's no good food in Denver, which... wild take.
Yes.
But, it just hasn't been educated yet.
Yep.
I think we have some really good food down here at the DNVR Bar. So come hang out, check it out, get yourself some Breck brews, get yourself some good company, whatever it may be. Come hang out at the bar.
And man, if you want to be really hungry when you come to the bar for some delicious food, check out our friends over at Lightshade Dispensary, because if you're a casual consumer or a connoisseur, you can get anything over at Lightshade Dispensary. Just what you need, they'll have you hooked up for 25% off if you use the code DNVR over at Lightshade Dispensary online or at one of their 10, soon to be 11 Denver locations. And right now they have Wana Opticals, which fast asleep, 20 to 100 THC to CBD ratio. If you need to get to bed, this Wana will help you, and it's well-rounded to help you give you a long night's sleep. So make sure to check them out over at Lightshade Dispensary. Use that code DNVR for 25% off each and every purchase, either online or in one of their stores.
Also, check out Ranch Rider Spirits if you are looking for just a refreshing beverage that's all natural, that doesn't have a lot of unpronounceables in the ingredients. Check out what they've got over at ranchriderspirits.com. Like, for example, ranch water. This is something that they're putting in a can. You can get jalapeno ranch water, which is tequila, cold-pressed jalapeno, sparkling water, and fresh squeezed lime with no added sugars. That's it. No sugars, no preservatives, nothing. You've got that. You've got their twist on a mule, which is called the Buck. You've got vodka, sparkling water, real ginger, fresh squeezed lime. That's it. That's the drink. You can get that from Ranch Rider Spirits. Regular ranch water is just tequila, sparkling water, fresh squeezed lime. You know what you're getting. You're getting a good, refreshing beverage from Ranch Rider. And if you want to find out where to get those Ranch Rider Spirits, go to ranchriderspirits.com and you can find out the nearest place to get those. There's a lot of places in Colorado that have them, and you can get their takes on ranch water. You can get their take on the mule. You can even get, I like this one, the Chilton, which is vodka, sparkling water, fresh squeezed lemon, and sea salt. Very refreshing. It's like a light lemonade almost for those warm days. And we know it's cold here, but somewhere, if you're listening, it's probably nice and warm. So check out ranchriderspirits.com.
All right. Is there any other quarterback news we needed to touch on?
That's it.
All right. That's the quarterback news. So why don't we rank these options?
And these are our official quarterback rankings.
Official quarterback rankings. That means there's a graphic involved.
It does.
If I know a thing or two.
Is this what we think is going to happen, what we want?
These are how we want it to happen, and we can adjust this anytime we want. So let's say Aaron Rodgers, assuming he's on our boards, let's say he says he's staying with Green Bay and that's an option that's taken off the table next week, well, then we'll adjust it as we go. As we fall in love with Malik Willis more, he'll move up the board.
We love a adjustable, slidable graphic around here. Okay. How many slots do we have?
5.
Five
Top
slots.
5.
So what are the options here?
Anyone.
So-
Free agency, draft, and trade.
Okay. So do you want to just get into the rankings, or should we talk about kind of some of the best options here?
I say we jump into it. What do you say? And then we can talk about them. Or
right.
we can talk whatever you want.
All right, let's do it.
We
Jump in.
start with number 1?
Starting with number 5.
Number 5.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not ready to go
I have
first.
to reverse engineer my rankings right now.
I know, that's the problem.
1, 2, 3.
I
don't even have
I don't
a
either.
5th.
I don't either. Literally what I have when I was coming up with this yesterday, I thought I'd rather just go with Brett Rippon than have a 5th on this list. And so I was thinking, Well, can I just put Bryce Young as my 5th, aka meaning don't get anyone this year so that you can just land Bryce Young next year?
You can just put Tank as option 5.
That would be my 5.
Okay.
Because there's a big gap for me, so I'm going Tank.
All right.
I like it.
Sounds good. I'll be a little more direct with mine. I'm going to say my number 5 is Drew Lock.
Okay.
And this... Let's go. I'm going to say that this keeps Tank in the realm while also having a roll of the dice, shot in the dark, that Drew goes back into the offense that he was drafted to be in. Then he, succeeded early on in his career and pops and becomes the guy who so many people think he could be. It's not the most likely scenario, but it's kind of a roll of the dice. You hope that he doesn't find his way into being a middling quarterback.
Right.
Don't take the hopium. That's the thing. Don't, for example, Nathaniel Hackett and the Jaguars, although Hackett wasn't a part of this decision, they saw just enough out of Blake Bortles to give him a 2-year extension after 17. Mm-hmm. Don't get caught up in that. If it's good but not great, say, we're not going to pay big money for good but not great, mid-tier, lower mid-tier. We're moving on. Don't lose your nerve on that. Be Buffalo with Tyrod Taylor and not the Jags with Bortles.
So where we're sitting right now is the winner's lounge after a win. When we're getting right into dream scenarios, we should call it the Hopium Den.
I love it. And we're going to be in the Hopium Den in a little bit in this list, I think.
Yeah. All right. Mace?
I'm with you. Drew Lock's my number 5. Okay. Again, he's cost-controlled, drink. And if it does, look, the worst thing that could happen, and this could happen, is that he's just good enough to where you win 6 games. But I think you're paying him just over $1 million this year. You take the savings, you apply it to whatever you're going to do in the future. I mean, it's not, again, there are 4 better options here, but I like that better than, put it this way, I like this option better than Jimmy Garoppolo. I like this option better than Carson Wentz. I like this option better than Mitchell Trubisky.
Yep.
I certainly like that option more than those as well.
Kale, maybe we can put a picture of a fish tank.
Oh, I like that. And yeah, sorry, Kale, for totally throwing you off with that one.
Yeah.
All right, I'll go next at number 4, just because I'll take any chance to talk about this guy. It's Malik Willis. This is a great option for me. It's exciting. It gets the people going. It has high upside. Of course, it has some downside. It always will anytime you draft a guy. But I think that because there was this idea that got, really baked into the discussion that this is a weak quarterback class, I think that people are thinking more about what Malik Willis can't do and not enough about what he can do. And actually, there's not really much he can't do. What his weaknesses are more than his strengths. Whereas I think if this was a really strong quarterback class and there was 3 or 4 other really good players around him, he would be right in that mix. Excuse me. And people would be talking way more about what he can do. And what he can do and what his strengths are exactly the strengths that are succeeding from young quarterbacks in today's NFL. Big arm, elusive, great vision as a runner. So athletic. To me, he has all these things, but because he went to Liberty, which of course is a knock, and because you're looking at the guys around him who aren't getting people excited about quarterbacks, I think people are saying, yeah, he's just the most exciting one in a bad quarterback class, and I don't think that's the way to look at it.
And I want to put a rookie on here. I can't. And the thing that's holding me back about Malik Willis isn't just Liberty, it's just the inconsistent tape. And I want to make sure that during this draft process, I don't just get caught up in the numbers. And what he did at the Senior Bowl was great, and that should play into it. But I don't want to lose fact of just the inconsistency at Liberty, so I can't put him there. But he's my top guy, too, in terms of the rookie class. I'm just so not into this rookie class yet. So I'm going with the guy that until he signs a contract extension, he's available. A small chance. I'm going Derek Carr. at here. He's 30 years old. Look, I don't think he's going to be on the Broncos, but again, until he signs that contract extension, that has been talked about. He's available, and we know Josh McDaniels can rub people the wrong way, and maybe that happens, and somehow he lands with the Broncos, but we've talked about Derek Carr. I think all of us have come to appreciate Derek Carr more and more as the years go on, and these next two guys on my list, who we'll talk about in a second, they have leadership questions and issues, not with Derek Carr, and I think he's got it on the field and off the field. At only 30 years old, he still's got a lot of time left.
All right. I'm going a similar route as RK. I'm going draft, but I'm going for a different quarterback. Part of it is value, because you might be able to trade down and get him and accumulate some assets. Part of it is I think he would fit what Nathaniel Hackett wants to do, and that's Sam Howell.
Wow, Mace is back on the Sam Howell train.
That's your number one guy?
It took a little while.
It was seeing him under center throwing deep at the Senior Bowl.
Yeah.
And you got that glimpse of him on the play fake boot. He looked comfortable under center. You could say the same thing about Malik Willis, but listening to Nathaniel Hackett describe intelligence and toughness as the two things that he's looking for. He wants to throw deep. Howell seems to check the most boxes for what would fit what Hackett wants to do.
I can get excited over that.
And you might be able to move down a little bit and trade with a team that maybe seeks another quarterback or something else and probably still get him. I think personally, I know people will disagree, I think personally the right spot for him is exactly where Mac Jones went last year, 15.
And because of that, Mace, I think you stay at 9 if you want Sam Howell, and you got to take him there. I think Matt Corral is going to start picking up some steam. That's a guy we haven't talked about. I was thinking about including him here. I think Howell, Corral, really all of these guys are going to be considered in the top 15.
Real quick, does the Shrine game also require you to be a senior to play in it?
It does, but there's some speculation that they may waive that, and that would make things really interesting.
I mean, you put it in Vegas and then allow people like Matt Corral to go there. Yeah. It's game over. They're going to win the battle.
The interesting thing also is if they allow juniors and the Senior Bowl still kind of kept its place, you might not, if everybody who was draft eligible was going to one of those two games, would you even need the combine?
Oh, interesting.
It's probably something the NFL doesn't want, but that would be really good, because I'd way rather see guys on the field than running in underwear.
How about the NFL getting pushed around a little bit last week?
Big time.
That was kind of fun.
Yeah, it definitely was, because you knew when they started threatening to not go there, especially top prospects, they had to change it.
I thought so too, and I was like, are they going to back down? Mm-hmm. And then they did, and that was awesome. Yep. Good job.
So number 3, guys, we've talked about kind of our top 3 before, but I'm making a change with mine here. I'm putting Kyler Murray at number 3, even though he has the longest longevity of these top 3 guys. I was thinking this morning, in the shower, by the way, I was thinking about this. And
shower thoughts.
Yes, exactly. And right now, is Kyler Murray, does he have an argument to be the top quarterback in the AFC West?
No.
No, I don't think so either. Does he have an argument to be the second best quarterback in the AFC West?
Yes.
You think so? Do you think he is?
Yes.
Really, Mace, do you?
Argument, but he's not. Justin Herbert's better.
And I agree. I think you can have an argument, but I think Justin Herbert's better.
One of those guys has been in the MVP conversation and made the playoffs.
Justin Herbert has definitely, it will be in the conversation to be an MVP, and he's just better quarterback than Kyler, in my opinion.
He's not. I disagree.
So anyways, there's argument for number 2. Yep. I even think with Kyler Murray and Derek Carr, there's argument who the worst quarterback in the division is between Kyler Murray and Derek Carr.
Yeah, I think you're a little too high on Derek Carr right now.
Okay, well, we'll see. I mean, in terms of entire quarterback, what they bring to the table on and off the field, is there a conversation for who the best quarterback is if Aaron Rodgers is in the division right now?
Yes.
I think there's absolutely a conversation who the best quarterback is. Now,
back-to-back MVP.
Exactly. So there's absolutely a conversation. And then so I think, okay, well, because obviously Aaron Rodgers is going to drop off and not be a Bronco in a couple of years. So how long until Kyler Murray is in the conversation to be the best quarterback in the AFC West or the second best quarterback in the AFC West? a decade, he still may not be in the conversation to be the best. He still may not be the second best, at least by everyone's standards. He may be the third best quarterback in this division for a long time. And that, to me, is just such a big hurdle to get over, where I have to put the guy that gives you the best chance right now and even for the future, and that's Aaron Rodgers at number 2. So that's why I'm going Kyler at 3.
Cool. And then I guess you're also going Aaron at 2.
Yep.
I'll go here. I'm going Aaron number 3. And this is purely a longevity thing. It's just too short for me to put him any higher than this. You're going to get, in my opinion, 2, maybe 3 years to win a championship to make it all worth it. And that's not an easy thing to do. You know, you got to turn the whole culture around. Remember, it's different than when Peyton Manning came. Peyton Manning was coming to a team that was inspired, and they had just went to the playoffs and won a playoff game. This is a team that hasn't been there in 6 years. So you need probably 1 year just to flip the culture. And then you either have 1 or 2 years to win it. So I can't go that high with him, even though he is probably the best quarterback on the list. It's also the smallest window.
Yeah, and that's very fair. I understand that. Mace?
Yeah, I've got Rodgers 3. Same reason. I mean, it's a narrow window, and don't forget, on top of everything else, you have an incredibly young coaching staff coming in. You have Dom Capers, the kind of the one old hand, but by and large, young coaches, fresh ideas, but it's possible that you might have a year that's a little bit bumpy.
How much does Aaron Rodgers help with that transition, though?
He'd help considerably. Yeah. I just don't know if it would be enough to where you're talking Super Bowl this year. Yes, I mean Tom Brady won the Super Bowl his first year in Tampa Bay. Look around that staff. I mean, you had Todd Bowles, you had Tom Moore, who's basically forgotten more about offense than anybody has ever known. Bruce Arians had been a head coach before, so I think there was an element there that allowed the Bucs to accelerate quicker with their elite quarterback than I think the Broncos will be able to. So I don't see the Broncos winning a championship this year if Aaron Rodgers is their quarterback.
The other thing with that is just Aaron Rodgers and Kyler Murray have some people questioning some of their off the field stuff, but I don't think anyone questions Aaron Rodgers' leadership and buy-in from his teammates and when he's on the field, unlike Kyler.
That's fair.
And then I think we all have the same number 1 unless someone wants to have a shocker at 1, but I'm going Russell Wilson. And to me, there is a massive gap between Russ and Aaron. There's a huge gap between 1 and 2. It is so clear to me that Russ is by and far away the best option out there.
I agree that he's number 1. I don't agree that there's that big of a gap there. I think all of these guys have something about them that I love. What makes Russ number 1 is he is the perfect middle ground. He is the best combination of accomplishments, skill, and longevity. And that's why he goes to number 1. But like with Kyler Murray, if you were to get him, your window is massive, 12 years to get it right, to teach him how to be a leader, to make him a better quarterback to where maybe he could be even better than Russell Wilson.
Can leadership be taught, though?
I think it can be. It can be learned to get you to an acceptable level.
Right.
You can't be a elite leader just because someone taught you how to do it. But I think that Kyler Murray can learn to not pout on the sidelines, and he can learn to walk up and down and be super fake like Russell Wilson. But people eat it up, so it doesn't matter if you're fake. Like you can just you can fake the whole like, we got this, boys. We can do it. We can turn this thing around. You don't actually even have to believe that to say it and just pass the eye test for a leader.
So, yeah, you walk into the huddle, things aren't going well, and you say, what comes after 75, guys?
76.
That's the spirit.
Yes.
Terry Bradshaw did that once when he was younger, I believe.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So I think he can just be he can develop, and so that's his thing. Right. And then Aaron Rodgers gives you the best chance to win a Super Bowl next year, and that's his thing. So I don't think the gap is that big, but I do think Russell Wilson is the best combo.
Yep, and that's the biggest thing. And he's also a Super Bowl winner. He's done it before, just
Yep.
like Aaron Rodgers has done it before.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson doesn't really take heat for not being there in so long, just like Aaron.
You're right. Yeah, he doesn't. And the last time he was there,
It's almost
it was
8 years
It was
ago?
a pick in the end zone, right?
Yep.
Yeah, to win it.
Yeah, he blew it.
Yep.
And
Yep.
somehow everyone puts that more on Darrell Bevel than Russ
Yep.
on the play call.
Which I think is
Fair.
yeah.
But it's kind of interesting how the reaction to that evolved over the years. And of course, that was a great defense. I mean, you could argue that Russell Wilson, maybe he was more than the pilot, but he wasn't the plane, as you'd say. The plane for that team was Richard Sherman, Cam Chancellor, Bobby Wagner, everyone on that defense.
So then, do you think Russell Wilson can be the plane for a Super Bowl team?
I think he can be. Yes. Just because it hasn't worked out doesn't mean he's not the reason why they've been a playoff team most of the last few years. Because that defense did get old. They did lose talent. And the reason why, up until last year, this was a team that was punching out one playoff season after another was Russell Wilson. Because that's a really hollow roster right now.
And I agree. I absolutely think he can be the plane. He can be everything to guide a team to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and I think that he would be awesome in this offense.
Yes,
Yeah.
he would.
And here's the other thing. Kyler Murray, not going to be universally loved in Denver.
It's very true.
Aaron Rodgers, certainly not going
Yeah.
to be universally loved in Denver, at least at first. Wins makes everyone loved.
Yep.
Russell Wilson walks in here and is the golden boy.
Is he the number one selling jersey in the entire NFL?
Absolutely.
Yes.
At least
too.
for a while.
Yep. I totally agree.
Unless Pittsburgh drafts a quarterback.
Ooh.
Does Drew Lock give up number
I was
3?
going to say, what number is he wearing?
I'd love to see him wear number 1.
I want to see him go back to 16 like that he wore at Wisconsin.
Little Jake Plummer vibes?
What do you wear at NC State?
I think he
Also
wore
16?
16 there too, yeah.
I don't like 16.
Man, I would like number 1.
Yeah.
Oh, but is KJ giving it up?
Yes. They don't even ask.
Just take it.
Yeah. If your jersey's not in the team store,
Ah,
I don't even think they have to ask.
yeah.
Drew Locks is in the team store.
It is.
Prominently displayed. I was just down there this morning.
Yep.
Would he have to ask permission from Drew?
It would be, hey, Drew, give him number 3 or you're being cut, and then we'll just give it to him.
What would Locke wear then if he changed from number 3? Do you double it up to 6?
Really lean into the Cutler call.
Yes, he would.
Yeah.
13. And then he's kicking Michael O.J. Moody out of 13, but I think
13 is such a backup quarterback number.
it is. It really is.
Well, tell that to Dan Marino.
I will.
Is he our 3-ring guest tomorrow?
Yes.
Yes.
No. During guest is Ryan Edwards, though.
Another Ryan. 2
Yes.
for 2. Back-to-back weeks of Ryans. You must love this.
Send in your applications. Only if you're named Ryan are you invited on the show.
Yep, I think that's it. And
We're actually
running out of
changing it to
Ryans.
3 Ryan circus,
3
and both of
Ryan.
you guys are out.
Good run.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of people who don't. I get in my mentions a lot of people who don't want Russell Wilson.
Really? Because
Yeah.
I get so many people in my mentions who don't want Aaron Rodgers.
Oh,
And
that's the number one. But
it's crazy, though.
There-
And I know the vocal minority is the one that's speaking out, but at this point, yesterday when I posted something about Aaron Rodgers, I questioned if it's even the minority still.
it's just Aaron Rodgers fatigue on top of him being a douche.
Because what's happened now is there was a segment of the population that just they turned him off because of the vaccine stance.
Yep.
Now, and I'd say that was probably a minority. That's like, what, 20%, 25%? So of the other 75%, that would be, hey, great. It would be great to have him as a quarterback. I think he's probably ticked off at least half of those people with this drama.
Totally. Yeah.
And
It's
thinking,
a big number.
yeah, and would you want this year after year? I mean, this does feel very much like Brett Favre 2.0, that every offseason, is he going to retire? Is he going to come back? And that gets exhausting after a while.
These are like but these are the people sitting on like their rocking chair on their porch being like, the NBA has too much drama. I just like my good old football where all they do is go out there and play the game.
I don't think it's just that simple. in terms
I'm just
of
saying the
viewing
people
them.
who don't like the drama,
Yeah.
like get used to it, because the NFL is clearly manufacturing more and more drama because the NBA crushes with the drama stuff.
Yep, they do. So, Mace, it sounds like you're saying that about half the people are turned off by Aaron right now.
At this moment.
At this moment. So
but
let's say
people will get in line quickly.
So how many are still turned off by him if he becomes a Denver Bronco?
I think there's probably about 20 to 25% of the fans who will just not
That's pretty high.
they'll root for the Broncos, but they won't root for him. There was
Until week 1.
But there was a percentage of the fan base, small, but it was there, that wasn't on board with Peyton.
Right. But would you say that was like 2%?
I'd say
Not
about
even.
about 5%. I'd say
Wow.
5% is a lot of people.
it's 1 out of 20.
And they were all Tebow people?
They were Tebow people, or they were like, well, he came over here. He's not a real Bronco because
Oh, that's so stupid.
I would say I know hundreds of Broncos fans, like personally.
Yeah.
I don't know one that didn't support
That's
the
true.
Peyton thing.
That's true. And I'm proud to say I was a Tebow and a Peyton guy. You can be both.
It's very easy to just change to a Peyton guy when you get Peyton Manning. And I do think there will be this like vocal minority who would be up in arms and then would just let it go as soon as he starts winning games.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
And
And that would happen week 1.
Yes. I want to give a shout out to Green Mountain Dental before we move on. The best place in the Denver area to get any work done on your teeth. So when you go over there and schedule a cleaning, x-ray, and exam, they're going to hook you up with a free Sonicare toothbrush so you can always keep your teeth healthy. So check them out. Go over there, talk Colorado sports with them because they're true Colorado sports fans over there, and tell them we sent you. We appreciate their support, so we hope you support them as well.
And if you need to get your body detoxified, why not just start your day with some coffee? That helps a lot of people. And our friends over at Strava Craft Coffee offer the best coffee for you to do that. And Strava Craft Coffee, not only is it delicious coffee, but it has that CBD punch, which a lot of people say can help relieve aches, pains, headaches, migraines, anything that's going on. It can help relieve. And you get it in your cup of coffee, which you can have in the morning, night, afternoon, whenever you want. They have so many delicious flavors as well. And they also offer another 1-2 punch. If you use the code DNVR25 over at StravaCraftCoffee.com, you'll get 25% off your first purchase of Strava Craft Coffee. Then after you fall in love with it, go to StravaCraftCoffee.com and subscribe, and you'll get 20% off every single order after that. They've supported us for a long time, so make sure to make them your daily cup of coffee over at StravaCraftCoffee.com.
All right, guys. Let's see what we got from a super chat standpoint before we get into the comments here. One from Emmanuel Saki here. Two-parter. Can you guys please find some way to get Coach Hackett on the pod? He'd be a legendary three-ring circus guest and fits the vibe perfectly. Maybe you guys can become the Pat McAfee to his Aaron Rodgers. Woo. Trust me, we are trying.
I love where your head's at.
Yes, you could be right here with us because we have the same idea.
Yep, exactly.
And Mike Trout here, the
shout out to
homie.
Mike Trout.
He says, considering the amount we would have to give up in a trade for Rodgers, in addition to him wanting $50 million, he is fifth for me if I had to put him on the list.
Woo! And see, the money doesn't bother me because the cap you can push off. And look, the Packers don't have any cap space right now, yet they'll find a way to get him back, to get Devontae Adams back, to get everyone back that they want, that Aaron Rodgers wants. They're just going to have a miserable cap situation after he's gone. I'm okay doing that for the Broncos, and they don't even have to make it as miserable after he leaves because they're not in as bad of a cap situation right now. So the Broncos can do that, and maybe they're not in the best cap space in 3 years after Aaron's gone.
They just did another restructure today with Jones.
Yep.
So that's $14 million. So bit by bit, they're getting there, but they have to make these moves no matter what for cap compliance anyway. So.
You mentioned Andrew Brandt earlier. He's getting a lot of love on today's show. He tweeted out last night, I believe it was. It's like, after working in an NFL front office, I can tell you that fans and media talk about salary cap way more, or worry about salary cap way more than anyone does in an NFL front office.
I feel like we don't worry about it
We
that
don't.
much.
We might worry less.
Right. Yes, you're
Because
so right.
I legitimately believe it has zero impact on anything, which I might be going too far.
Right.
Every team has somebody devoted to it. It's basically kind of like how a head coach views a kicker. Okay, that you have a capologist. That's your job. We're gonna give you everything, and your job is to make it fit. And if you have a good enough capologist that can finagle the numbers and convert things to bonuses, right? Then you just sit back and say, okay, yeah, we'll make it work.
Someone's getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to just figure out the cap.
Like,
They can make it work.
I guess what I'm saying is I don't think there's ever a situation where that person says 0% chance we cannot get that player under any circumstances.
Right? No, never.
I think
Never.
there's always a way.
There's a way, but sometimes there's a way, but we have to do A, B, C, D, and E to do it.
And let me just say, you have to have the cash. So there's a way if your owner is rich.
Yep, exactly.
Or rich relative amongst his peers.
And that's why having the Broncos, whoever it is, needs to have the cash. And when you're selling a team for $4 billion, they're very likely going to have the cash.
And with Green Bay, when you have $400 million of cash reservoirs, you can say, "Oh yeah, we're gonna convert to bonus. We're gonna give you the cash right now and put it in escrow, and that's it."
Yep.
It's easy for them to do because they have the resources.
Yep.
Time to jump into the comment section.
Let's do it.
First one coming in from the computer boy. He says, "Hey fellas, just came to say that it's blatantly obvious that we need to do, or what we need to do if we are able to get Rodgers. The day Green Bay accepts a trade, you immediately call up the Bears and trade for Nick Foles. Then you use Aaron through the season, and then the second the playoffs start, so does Nick Foles. It's absolutely bulletproof and guarantees a Super Bowl."
Yeah, I like it. I believe Nick Foles. I don't know, actually. I was going to say undefeated in playoff games, but I can't remember if he started one.
They lost to New Orleans.
Yeah,
and they lost 2 to New Orleans because he was a starter in 2013. They lost in the wild card round, and then started when they lost in the divisional round.
So 4-2.
I mean, yeah, 4-2. I think that's right.
Ryan, we obviously know that Aaron Rodgers is 1-4 in NFC Championship games, 0-4 in his last 4. In the NFC Championship games, this blew my mind yesterday. Do you know what his touchdown to interceptions are? Total touchdowns to total interceptions.
I have no idea.
I didn't either. 9 touchdowns, 8 picks.
Oh.
So, it has been on him.
Yeah, I thought I was expecting you to say worse.
Worse.
Yeah.
1-1
Yeah.
for a supposedly great quarterback when it's clutch?
Yeah, I mean, go look at Tom Brady's numbers in Super Bowls. They won't exactly blow you away.
No, I bet they're better than that. But you're right.
Yeah.
They're not incredible.
Yep. Melbourne Bronco says, "Hey guys, I think the reason Aaron Rodgers hasn't won more Super Bowls is due to Green Bay not giving him all the tools needed." Did we just read this one? No. Okay. Sure, they have great players around him, but just falling short. Similar to Peyton at the Colts. We all know what happened when the Chief came to Denver. The same can happen now.
Yeah, and the same could happen. And he would not only be searching for his second ring with the second team, he'd also be searching for his 5th MVP, just like Peyton. Wouldn't that be incredible? Peyton came to the Broncos with 4 MVPs and a Super Bowl. Aaron would be coming to the Broncos with 4 MVPs and a Super Bowl.
And Peyton should have left with 5 MVPs and 2 Super Bowls.
He should have left with 6 MVPs.
6 MVPs and 2.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Aaron, can he go back to back to back to back?
Wouldn't that? How many Super Bowls in the next 2 years if Aaron has 2 MVPs?
1.
I'll go 2.
Okay. That would be incredible.
It would be. And then he rides off, right?
Yeah.
4 straight MVPs and 2 Super Bowls.
Do you think he would feel like a
god? Yeah.
No, like he owes the Broncos 2 years. Like, so let's say he comes here and wins MVP and wins the Super Bowl in year 1. Do you think he rides off, or he's like, it's not fair, like I owe them?
I do think he would feel like that. The thing is, you just don't want to piss him off in that first year, where then he says, you know what, F you guys. You traded 3 first-round picks. I'm going to leave after 1 year.
Jake Kumaro can stay.
Right.
Pig Tosser 66 says, guys, what's your take on Mitchell Trubisky as an option this year? His stats aren't horrible in the 50 games he started. And Nagy obviously wasn't the ideal coach grooming a young quarterback because he just got ran out of town after a year with a young Fields. Trubisky's a young, big arm, athletic, and just had a year to sit back and learn in a great offense. I'm intrigued. He's just missing something to me.
Swag?
I don't know. He has a little bit of, like, when he was good.
Does he?
When he was good and young, he had a little bit of swagger.
He's just mid-tier. He's
feel
very
like
meh.
Yeah, exactly. And I think his personality is very meh as well.
That's a swagger.
Yeah, but like he's not like Teddy Bridgewater out there with 2 gloves on, or Kenny Pickett with long loose sleeves and 2 gloves. Like he can look the look a little bit.
Yeah, and that's the thing is he's just middle ground. And why would the Broncos? That's my least favorite option the Broncos do this year is go Teddy Bridgewater, middle ground, someone to just keep them afloat. And that is what Mitchell Trubisky would do. He's not bad. In fact, he's a great backup. For the Bills to have him as a backup is fantastic. And do you guys know his nickname? At least his nickname according to Pro Football Reference, which always just has the weirdest nicknames.
M Sizzle?
No, it's weirder than that.
The truth.
Mr. Biscuit.
Oh, nice, Mr. Biscuit. I mean, it makes no sense to me. You could sell yourself on a Tannehill-esque situation where it's like, oh, he was in a bad situation, and then you get the best out of him. But
that's what you'd be doing. Yeah.
But what is Tannehill getting though?
And especially without
really,
Derrick Henry.
Right. That's the weirdest part about this. It's not about getting a good quarterback. It's about getting a great to elite quarterback.
Yep, exactly.
And otherwise, you just might as well not even show up.
100%. That's what my 5th option. I didn't feel like there was one of those. Was just tank.
Yeah.
Don't show up. Next one coming in from D Bronx says, do you guys know when the roster bonus for Cortland Sutton and Tim Patrick are due? I was looking at their contracts on Over the Cap, and both of their contracts are extremely tradable. With 4 of Green Bay's top 5 wide receivers set to become free agents next year, I think it could be likely that Green Bay will want to get a wide receiver back in a future Rodgers deal. I also think Cobb, who isn't a free agent, would likely be accompanying Rodgers in any trade. Do you think there's any way we would trade Sutton or Patrick instead of Judy in a potential deal?
If Green Bay says they want Judy, it's Judy. This is about what the Packers want. That's the thing. And Judy's contract situation makes him much more attractive to the Packers in a potential deal than the contracts of Sutton or Patrick. And I assume the roster bonuses usually they're right around the start of the league year.
And to flip that, Mace, I think if the Packers want Cortland Sutton, they're going to get Cortland Sutton. And the thing about Cortland Sutton, while he does have a bigger contract, it's actually still a pretty good contract. Only $15 million a year for a Pro Bowl player. You'll take that. But I still do think Jerry Jeudy is number 1 in terms of tradable to the Packers, then Cortland Sutton, and then Tim Patrick.
If you're the Packers, who would you rather have?
Jerry Jeudy.
Bingo.
Yep.
From Vency, hey guys, just an observation. You may not be pronouncing Mr. Evero's name correctly. In the Get to Know Defensive Coordinator video posted on the Broncos YouTube account, he pronounced it by putting the accent on the second syllable or the second E. Just want to give you guys a heads up. Keep up the great work. We're just going off of the pronunciation guide, but I've seen many situations where the pronunciation guide was not correct.
Trust me, I've gone back and forth on this so much, and I was told by someone in the Broncos that it's Evero.
Okay, Evero.
How have we been saying it?
I've been saying Evero.
I thought it was Evero. And what this is saying is if the accent is on the second E, it'd be Evero.
That's what I originally thought.
I'm so confused.
If the accent's on the second syllable,
yeah,
where the second E is, so.
Yeah, we should watch the video and then continue confusing ourselves.
Exactly.
Massive Chubb says, I think it was Joe Rolls who said this on Twitter, but it was a good point. If the Broncos draft Willis, realistically, we are not winning next season. If we're not winning next season, why not just tank for the 23 draft class in the first place? Also, did I hear Zach promise me a job yesterday if I change my username? Cheers, fellas.
To cover UFC for us is what he wants to do. And I said if he wants to do that, he probably has to change his username. Or if Massive Chubb is his real name.
Oh, yeah.
It may not.
That would be,
It'd be a UFC name.
The Chubb family is pretty big.
It's massive, you'd say.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the sort of byline that would get attention.
It's true.
Especially if UFC Roundup by Massive Chubb.
He's got to make his Twitter profile picture like his actual ID, proving that that's his real name.
Right. I thought you were gonna say a picture of his actual.
Oh my god. I don't like this take. If you draft Willis, then you're not winning next year. So why not just tank anyway? It's not that simple in my opinion. It's, do you really like Malik Willis as the future of your franchise? If you do, then you take him.
And
by the way, they're not going over next year with Malik Willis as their quarterback.
No.
And they're not going over with almost anyone, probably anyone.
Yes.
They're just not bad enough.
Yeah, I agree. However, you could stumble into a tank season with a rookie quarterback. And I think that's what you guys were talking about with Drew Lock.
Do it again.
He does have a tiny bit of an upside, and he also has a big floor potentially, or a low floor.
Yeah.
It's probably same with a rookie quarterback. And you know what? It's exactly right. Do the Josh Rosen. Do the Kyler Murray, Josh Rosen. If Malik Willis, you take him at 9 and you don't trade up for him, you have barely any investment. 1 first-round pick, that's nothing. Flip it, get Bryce Young, get Stroud, and then boom, you're off to the races.
Broncos have lost 6 straight games that Drew Lock has started. There are other factors involved,
Of course.
and you know how I feel about QB wins. So I kind of throw that out there as a lark. But that being said, I think with Drew Lock, if he's the quarterback, they still win 5 to 7 games.
I don't think there's a realistic quarterback that the Broncos could start, like where it wasn't clear that they were trying to tank, that can get them a top 2 pick.
How about Brett Rippon?
That's not that's clear.
I think what you're saying is Drew Lock, Marcus Mariota, Teddy Bridgewater.
Trubisky.
Because I don't think, who's a bad quarterback in the free agent market right now? Because those are like the best, which is crazy.
Is Josh Rosen available?
Maybe, and let's just say he is bad on that list. They're not going to sign him and start him. He's not going to be a legitimate plan going into this season.
Let's see here.
So I do think the floor is fairly high. And when I say fairly high, I mean
5.
Yeah, 5.
Andy Dalton, Bengals went 2-14. Start with a season where he started, but that was
They also had Ryan Finley.
Mike Glennon is on the market.
Ooh,
Geno
He's not
Flat
a
Earth
plan.
Smith. Mike White is on the market.
No, he wouldn't be a
Colt
plan.
McCoy
Nope.
Wait, Mike White, isn't that the guy who balled out a couple games for
on
the
Thursday
Jets?
Night Football. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brandon Allen's on the market.
Oh God.
Man, I thought when Joe Burrow when he went down in the Super Bowl and was hurt, I was thinking, oh man, are we gonna have Brandon Allen
It's like he's
coming
gonna
in
blow
here?
it and get his car burned down again.
Nick Mullins is on the market.
Yeah, he wouldn't be an option.
Let me mull that over. Real
Sean
quick.
Mannion.
Yeah.
Oh,
Big Al's
guy.
Yeah, Tom Brady
Brian
signing
Hoyer's
there.
on the market. Blaine Gabbert. Kyle Allen, he's an RFA, and there's Trubisky.
Super chat came in.
Josh Rosen, by the way, is on the market too.
Oh, let's go.
go.
All right, I'm in on that. Chance Gregg says, if Drew Lock takes us to the playoffs next year, do you still draft a quarterback? It's a bad situation to be in, but no, you would stay with Drew Lock.
It depends how you get there, though.
Yeah, of course.
I don't think this, like last year, I could see a situation where the Broncos got to the playoffs with not very good quarterback play. I think the Broncos are going to lose too much on defense to be able to get there without the quarterback being
this
good
means
enough.
he's good
Exactly.
enough.
So I do think if the Broncos make the playoffs this year, under whatever quarterback, it's because that quarterback played pretty darn good.
Yeah.
I will also offer this, though. Nathaniel Hackett called plays for a Buffalo offense that got to 9-7 with Kyle Orton at quarterback, and E.J. Manuel starting the first part of the year, and of course 10-6 with Blake Bortles at quarterback. So there's a scenario where he's eking just enough out of Drew Lock to where you make the playoffs, but he's not the reason. And like I said earlier, the key would be don't get fooled. Don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe.
I think a big difference, though, is how impressive it would be to get to the playoffs in this division. And because you'd have to do well enough in this division, and the AFC is also really tough. You're right, it can happen. I just don't think it would.
Final one here from Bronc Oilers. Ben Albright had put out there that Caleb Ellaby from Western Michigan is a guy the Broncos really like on day 3 and feel like there's someone he's someone they could potentially develop into something. Have you guys watched much of him? He's got good arm talent, but not much to offer in mobility, and performed pretty well for a small school guy. Second part here, if Rodgers and Wilson don't happen, how would you feel about a Kirk Cousins plus a developmental guy like Ellaby, provided the contract was reasonable? Well, that's a dream world. The contract will not be reasonable, but
40 mil for Kirk.
if the contract was reasonable, yeah, I'm all about it. At least, because to me, reasonable is like 28 for Kirk Cousins.
Here's the problem with all this. Let's not get into the trap of thinking that a day 3 guy is somebody you plan around.
Yes.
And it's a lottery ticket, and if it works out, wonderful, but you don't say, well, our plan is to develop this quarterback we took in the 4th round.
Right.
You can't do that. If he develops, that's a bonus, and then you adapt accordingly. But you don't say that's our plan. I mean, you don't even do that with a 2nd round quarterback.
Yep.
Frankly.
No, yeah, absolutely not. And Caleb Ellaby is someone who's a very good decision maker. At least that's what he proved at Western Michigan. So I like that, but you can't sell me on any guy that's not in the 1st round. And that's just how it's going to be. Like Mace said, if you're taking what are you doing taking a quarterback in the 2nd round? We just went through that. I don't want to be about that. And get ready to pay Kirk Cousins 4 years, $160 million.
And the fact that he's not dual threat to some degree means he's gonna when he gets out there, he's gonna face coverages that don't have to account for him taking off and running, and so that in turn will probably hinder his development a little bit.
Man, that just makes me excited about Malik Willis. It'd be so fun to watch.
Yes, he would be. He'd be entertaining regardless.
He will discombobulate some defenses early.
Yeah.
If you game plan correctly for him, you can do some of the Lamar Jackson things with him.
Totally.
You really can.
And you know, when I talk, Lamar Jackson's a perfect example of the way I talk about if this was a great quarterback draft class, the way people would be talking about Malik Willis. When Lamar was in that draft class, I remember it. You know, we were saying this guy, you know, could be as good as anyone in this class. He obviously wasn't getting the love that, you know, all those guys at the top were getting. But he was like the great unknown, right? Mm-hmm. In terms of he's so athletic, he's so freakish that this could really work. And so the great unknown was a positive for him.
Right.
Whereas Malik, because he's surrounded by guys who are so meh, he's being elevated to QB1 in the class, and so he's being held to a totally different standard rather than, he's the dark horse of the class, you know.
Very fair. Yep. And he's just being knocked every time he's put as the top guy.
Right. But you know, no, Lamar didn't need to be the top guy to succeed.
Yeah, that's for sure. 32nd pick in the 1st round.
And now there was rumors that they're not sold on. Yeah. Stupid.
Give him to me. Give him to me. Let's send 3 first-round picks for him.
Let me revise my list really quick.
Seriously.
All right, I think that's going to wrap it up for us today on a longer version of the pod. Appreciate all you guys who tuned in. Hit us with a thumbs up on your way out. Hit us with a nice review over there on iTunes. We always love those. More and more coming in these days. Appreciate you for that. We're almost to 700, so keep those coming in. And we will catch you tomorrow with a great edition of Three Ring Circus featuring our friend Ryan Edwards. We'll see you then.